Of course, the RBA lifted rates by another 25 basis points this week to 4.1%, the highest level in more than a decade. Let's look at the broader positioning for the Australian economy. I spoke a short time ago with Professor Stephen Hamilton from George Washington University.
I think there's no doubt that this inflationary crisis obviously predates this government, right? It had really nothing to do with this government, and frankly, not a whole lot to do with the previous one either. We had a war in Ukraine, pushed up energy prices. We had supply constraints. We had a whole lot of pent-up demand after the pandemic, and we probably overstimulated the economy through the pandemic. So that's all true. That's how the train got moving following COVID, and that inflation started to build ahead of steam. The question is why, sort of a year and a half, 2 years later, are we still having persistently high inflation?
It sounds like the governor of the RBA has been very blunt, certainly in the private briefings. He's been upfront publicly as well. But on three key points, I guess, Professor Hamilton, I'd love to get your reflections on it. But one is this high inflationary environment. Two, the lack of effort to try and boost productivity. And three, at the same time as those other two areas, the government pushing for wage rises across the board. Those three things, maybe one off. You could have one of those three, but not all three together.
Yeah, this is a really good point. So look, the government, it's in the government's right? It's the government's prerogative to try and protect people from the inflation that we have. Like, I can understand that impulse, right? I can understand the desire to give people on the dole a 10% increase. To give aged care workers a 15% increase, to give every public servant in the country a 4% increase, to give single mothers an increase, to increase rent assistance by 15%, right? To increase, pharmaceutical subsidies, right? Like, I get it, right? They're trying to help people get through this difficult crisis. But to the extent that you shield those people with that additional government spending, then what is the RBA trying to do? They're trying to pull money out of the economy. So to the extent that you're pushing money into the economy over there, then the RBA is just going to have to pull that money away from everyone else.
Professor Stephen Hamilton from George Washington University in Washington. Appreciate your time.
Cheers, Kieran.